Welcome back to the Form is Temporary podcast. And yes, we are back after a week's break with the international break. And it's good to be back. It's good to get back in the swing of things. And we're absolutely delighted for this episode to be previewing game week 4. And we did have a plan to have the legendary Joe from Fantasy Football Scout. Really apologies for that. Basically, Blue Sky didn't help us out with the sort of admin side of things, and my messages were blown up. So apologies, Joe, for that. Couldn't get through to you, I'm afraid, but we'd love to have you on again at some point this season. But alongside him, with our really reliable co-host Kanji. It's great to get you back on. Firstly, how are you?
I'm chilling, brother. It's good to be back.
It certainly is. And we have got a great member of the FPL community on this episode. It's the lovely Mo Trophy FPL, formerly known as bottom left guy, but the stage at this point he's just middle left guy, it seems. So Trophy Mo, how are you, my friend? Just as he takes a swig of his coffee.
I'm very good. Thank you very much. How are you boys? Thank you for having me.
Good. Is it coffee, Mo, or is it something else?
Tea.
It's tea.
Decaf tea.
It's a 50-50. It's always these 50-50s I'm getting wrong in FPL.
I'm not really a coffee drinker, you know.
No.
Okay.
Well,
just tea for me.
Well, let's see if everyone wakes up and smells the coffee when it comes to FPL, because it has been a little bit of time, and we want to get those gears churning again. But we are going to be doing all the usual good stuff. Looking back at, just in case you forgot how we got on in game week 3. The last time we were with you, we were previewing game week 3. And of course, we have had the international football. So a few sort of changes with managers and potentially injuries coming in. We'll update you on that. We've, of course, got our head-to-head mini league, which was always good fun. And see how the matchups went in match week 3 and what we've got to look forward to ahead of this weekend. And of course, we will be going for our differential picks, see how Dan FPL Mate's pick went last time out, and see if Trophy Mo can get that good first record of the season. And we've also got a quiz at the end, and 2 Liverpool fans. I wonder what the theme of the quiz will be at the end of the pod. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, looking forward to that when we get there. But first of all, let's look back on game week 3. It was an interesting game week. Certainly not a great one if it came to sort of big hauls for captaincy players. I mean, a lot of the premiums at the start of the season have failed to deliver. So we're going to go in order of least points first. I'm afraid to say that to start off with, we've got our guest coming with 50 points. So Trophy Mo, talk us through it. I mean, 50 points for you.
That's me.
Oh, that's you.
That's
Sorry.
I was thinking I got 60 points. I was like, did I actually get 50?
You know what it is?
You worried me.
It's the Liverpool fans. They've all got the same teams. I just got that. So, no, Kanji, starting with you, 50 points for you in game week 3. Do you want to just run us through the players for the audio?
Every week I'm on the pod, it's always a horrendous game week. It's been a tough start to the season. I'm ranked like 5.7 million. It's ridiculous. But my goalkeeper, Petrovic, he surprisingly got me a clean sheet against Spurs. And then I had Pedro Porro for 4 points, who got DEFCON. Joachim Anderson got DEFCON as well, I think, against Man United or whoever it was, Chelsea or Brighton, one of them. And then I got Nico Williams for the 1-pointer. Forest are just horrendous this year. Bruno Fernandes with the captaincy. I can't believe people captain Cunha. And that's not just hindsight. I actually can't believe that. I did. Then there's Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest, 11 DEFCONs once again. Mo Salah blanking against Arsenal. That's okay. I'm just glad I didn't captain him. Cunha was my transfer in for Palmer. Just great. Loving this luck that I've been having this year. Gakpo has been like the one shining light. So thankful for him, even though he's blanked this week. He's delivered 20 points the last few. And then Watkins continues to just stink it up. Villa just can't score a goal, but he had a good chance. And I brought Thiago in as well as with my second transfer, and he scored. There also was a penalty in the Brentford game, by the way, and he didn't take it. But the guy that took it missed, so I'm hoping that he'll take the next one. So a total of 50 points, very underwhelming start to the season.
Yeah, unfortunate there. On your bench as well, it was interesting. There was a few auto subs going on in game week 3 for a few teams, and we'll go on to talk about one of those in my team. But Verbruggen to Strand Larsen obviously didn't play, and they come out with those sort of classic injury lines, Mo, about, it just happens to be the game week before the transfer window shuts and an injury comes in, conveniently for Jorgen Strand Larsen. But yeah, he ended up staying at Wolves, and be interesting to see going forward, won't it? Because Wolves fixtures don't look great for that long. I mean, their fixtures generally sort of can be quite tricky. They don't go through sort of good phases for a while. So do you think Strand Larsen, if he's sort of fit and ready for game week 4, might kind of still score those points?
I think he's still a decent pick. At that price point, there's not much, to be honest. There was Fulkrug, who turned out to be a bit of a dud. There's Thiago, who got you the goal. To be honest, Kanji, that's not too bad. So there's not much options. Now he stayed. I think what you said is more likely a fake injury during that transfer period. He'll probably buckle down, get his head down and start playing. And he's a decent option. I think they've got the fixtures, like you said, in the next 3. I'm looking at Wolves' fixtures. And they've got one decent. Where are Wolves? I think they've got Leeds, haven't they? Yeah, they've got Newcastle's horrible, then Leeds, and then Tottenham. So not ideal. But if you've got him, I suppose you're going to try.
Wait. Are we just going to avoid the fact that they play Sunderland and Burnley the weeks after that?
I've just done the next 3. I've just done the next 3
window. Short periods. We're looking at short periods.
All right,
because what it is, Kanji, you might not have the patience to keep him. After he blanks in the next 3, you'd be like, you know what? I can't take it. I'm going to get rid of him. So it could be that. It could be that.
Life comes at you fast, sometimes you got to look at the small increments. And I do take your point, Kanji, that long term the fixtures do get better, but it's just whether or not we'll be patient enough with that. And if he does miss the next few, whether or not there's a replacement there. But Dorgu with 0 on the bench, and then Senesi 3rd on bench, it's one of those where you had Petrovic, you were probably unlikely to start double Bournemouth defence away to Spurs, and it's very unfortunate, but he's come good there with his clean sheet and his DEFCON points. So yeah, nice sort of game week. I mean, you finished above average, Kanji, which is always the target, but with sort of the high level of standards being set among managers, in terms of the number of players in the game, but also those freaks that somehow captain Jurriën Timber, you just think, why are we even bothering sometimes? But yeah, no, it's a decent little team. What's your thoughts on, particularly, you got a lot of red here, haven't you? I can see the sort of Liverpool bias coming in strong.
I mean, yeah, after I sold Palmer, there was like no red left. I'm like, what the heck? And Man City players, a lot of rotation risk, so I'm just not really interested. And I think Man United are going to be good to target in general because they played 90 minutes in the Prem with no other comps, right? They already are out of the cup as well. But I have so many problems in this team. Like Dorgu, I put him into my team in game week 1 to have him starting this game against Burnley. I know they conceded regardless, but Dalot did end up getting an assist. So it would have been nice to have some sort of assist from Dorgu there. But I think the coach might end up just benching Dorgu in the easy matches so they can play Amad Diallo at right wing back and Dalot at left wing back to have their most attacking players on the pitch. So I think Dorgu is just not a good pick. Something that's changed from game week 1. Senesi, bro, it's just a 50-50 decision on my bench. Would have been a massive swing if
14 points. Wow.
Yeah, bro, trust me, I am an elite FPL manager. Senesi Anderson rotation is so elite. I guarantee you, when both of you wildcard, you'll own both of them. Trust.
Well, we'll see.
Hopefully, I start them. That's more important.
Yeah. Well, exactly. The thing is, every defender has those 14 pointers. It's just whether or not it's sustainable, and we can expect those sort of returns on a regular basis. But yeah, fair enough. He did. If you had him in game week 3, then fair play.
Just to like finish off, like Cunha is potentially injured. Strand Larsen's potentially injured. Dorgu is like, I don't really want to be having him in my squad. Nico Williams, I'd rather have Lacroix at the same price. I don't want to be buying into Forest Defense, especially after the new manager appointment. I'm sure you'll touch on that. So those are like 4 things I just needed to move. And Watkins is just a bum. I'd rather own Gyökeres for a team that has a better attack, and he's also guaranteed penalties, whereas Watkins has like a 50% chance to be on them. So there's a lot of upgrades I could make. So are very quickly already looking to wildcard my team, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that sounds quite negative, but you could always look on the bright side, Kanji, and say, at least you won your head-to-head in the T-Fit League this week. There's always sort of silver lining to take, and Chicken Palmer with his 24 points, at least makes you feel better about things. But moving on to the next highest scoring team, which was myself, 59 points for me in game week 3. I also, like Kanji, made 2 transfers and also replaced Cole Palmer. Unfortunately, it looks like the luck when it comes to injuries is not looking too strong, because I brought in Sarr for Palmer. I'm very pleased when Sarr did score in that game against Aston Villa, but yeah, unfortunately, that looked like a one-off return for me, and I might have to deal with him in game week 4. But I also then made the other move of bringing in Chris Wood and captaining him to replace Mark Guiu with the money that I used to downgrade Palmer. So, yeah, for the audio, it's Sells in goal with 2, then Murillo with 1, the Forest double up defensively, not exactly working out. Chalobah with a lovely 13, very happy with him. Now, he has been an absolute revelation for me since I picked him game week 1. It was something that I have to admit, he wasn't in my starting 11 in game week 3, but that's why we have a substitutes bench. When Dorgu didn't play, Chalobah was there to, save the day.
What, you can't talk about bad luck. That's incredible, that is.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
So that's just the art of putting yourself in the position for good luck, I like to say. But Porro with 4. We also had Salah, a little bit underwhelming. Luckily, I didn't captain him, so in the end, it wasn't the biggest loss going for Wood over him in the end. But he got the late.
You avoided Bruno.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I did avoid Bruno, and it was a shame, but at the end of the day, I'm still very happy with the overall score. So I think even though I didn't have Bruno, and the fact that Salah blanked against Arsenal didn't hurt me too much. Semenyo with 2, Dewsbury Hall, making up for that captaincy with a lovely 12-pointer against Wolves, and that was the sort of fixture I was expecting him to deliver in. So very pleased with him, and mentioned about Ismaila Sarr. Then the front,
you benched Verts.
Yeah, ahead of Verts. I made a decision.
Wow.
He knows ball. He knows ball. I agree with that.
Because I just thought with that fixture, I mean, Arsenal do tend to keep it tight, especially away from home against the big 6 teams. And yeah, I wasn't too impressed with Verts after the first 2 games, and I just thought it'd be worth benching him for that one. And then Watkins and João Pedro. João Pedro keeps on delivering. Very happy with him. Another nice haul for him. And then Watkins, yeah, disappointing. Villa have just not been up to the races. And then the bench of Dubravka to Verts with a blank, Dorgu and Hoover with big fat zeros and donuts with points. So yeah, it's pretty happy with this, to be honest. Sort of consistency, I think it will be the key this season. And so far, I've started with 58, 59, and 59. So I was hoping to go one better in game week 3 to just, by game week 38, be on sort of lovely scores with 1 point increments each game week. But, sometimes it's good to be consistent whilst others maybe get a bit panicked and start hitting wildcard buttons. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't hate a wildcard right now, but we'll get to that a little bit later. There's a couple of maybe problems in my team with Sarr and Hoover and Dorgu, but it's not the end of the world at the same time. So we then move on to the high scoring team of us 3, which was Trophy Mo. How were you feeling about this one, Mo? I mean, 60 points is very solid, isn't it?
Yeah, but when you look at your team, you messed up on the captain, and yet you still scored 59. So that was very impressive. I got a captaincy with Bruno. Fortunate in the end with the pen, but we would take it. Let me go through the team. So Sales, like Kanji was complaining about with Williams, they've not been performing defensively, unfortunately, but there's not much I can do there. Van der Ven with a 1-pointer. Juve, now the same way you got a bit of luck with Chalobah. Mine wasn't in the same way. I started him, but the reason I started him, because as you can see on my bench, I kept Palmer. I had to use my free transfers to fix other issues I had previously, which I'll explain to you in a minute. So Juve, I started him because I kept Palmer. So there's a bit of luck there as well. Cucurella has been probably the best performer in my team for this so far for the start of the season. Game week 1, 2, and 3 has been excellent. If anything, Jamie with the clean sheet in this game, as we know, Fulham got hard done by. But then you could argue you could have had a potentially one attacking return in the 3 games. Anderson is steady Eddie for 4.5 million. Mohamed Salah, I think you lot both said, quite sort of start to the season. And against Arsenal, I wasn't expecting much.
True.
Rodgers, I've got double. You two are feeling a bit of pain. Watkins, I've got double Aston Villa. So imagine my pain. It's been very painful. They've not even scored a goal. And I gambled on 2 of their players. How patient could I be? I'm not quite sure. They've still got very good fixtures. The Everton fixture is not great. But after that, they've still got a couple more. So I think I'm going to persevere with it. Anderson, who's teased us with DEFCON, and he just keeps on not getting them. Just this frustrating 11. It's just crazy. You can't make that up. Bruno Fernandes, fair play. He did return. And João Pedro, like you said, who's had a great start to the season. He's one of the transfers I done last week. So it was a bit of a crazy. The week before, I was a little bit, if I'm honest with you, tilted. Let's just say that. And I made some early. Listen, before after game week 2, it was horrible game week. I was super frustrated. So I made 2 quick transfers to fix a couple of things. But so that's the team. The bench, Dubravka, Palmer, who's I'm hoping I've taken a huge gamble. I'm hoping I can have a low-owned Palmer against Brentford. That would be perfection. It doesn't sound like it's going to materialize because he's not even being pictured in training. There were some pictures today. If that is the case, I won't go another week with him on my bench. That's a bit too much, especially with the next 2 fixtures. The Brentford one is gorgeous. I would gamble on that. I would love a low-owned Palmer. But and then Estef and Mark Gui, who you haven't seen my video I've just posted on my channel. It's a lot of focus on him. As he's come back into Chelsea's team, what do you think it's done to my team?
Well, you got four
Chelsea players.
So you need to make a transfer.
So it's just really, really annoying now. So if I like super frustrating that I'll be honest with you. So it just sums up the start of this season. You know how it's been. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there. So more than likely, if I do make a transfer, it's going to be a -4. It's as simple as that. If I'd fully commit. So, but yeah, overall 60 points is I'm giving all the negatives. I'll be happy. 60 points last week was good. I mean, before the international break was very good. Like you said, above average. Have had a couple of green arrows, and I've not had a great first 2 game weeks. Unlike you, Roberto, that you said he was consistent. Mine wasn't too consistent. It was a bit low. So I'll take it.
But you know what? Like, that's 2 weeks of you looking at your team where you're like, you know what, that's solid. You're like happy to go into international break on a good note, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's so true. Yeah, it could always been worse. It's always horrible when you have a bad game week before the international break. You're right.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have to mull over it, definitely. And out of curiosity mode, do you know who your auto sub was for Palmer, or did you actually bench Palmer?
No, I actually benched him. Yeah, it was obvious.
Oh, so you got the intel that he would. I suppose, you know, actually I'm thinking of the West Ham game. Yeah, of course you knew that he wasn't playing. So was that something you were comfortable with though? You weren't tempted by making a transfer in...
It's because I already had made 2. If I'm totally honest, very unprofessional. If I hadn't done that, Roberto, and if I tell you the players I took out, it really didn't work out. I got rid of. If I tell you what I'd done, I got rid of Fulkrug. And I needed the extra million, and I got rid of Ndai, who since then scored 2 goals back-to-back games. And I got in Anderson, but I bought in João Pedro. So for me, if I looked at both of them, I'm happy with that combination there: the João Pedro and Anderson versus Fulkrug and Ndai. So I'm happy with the moves.
Yeah,
but if I had waited, I could have got rid of Palmer.
That's
and
the
be
thing.
Much more flexible. Exactly that. I went early and I paid the price, so I have to own that mistake. To be honest.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a logical sort of. I can see the reason behind your decision, and I think it's just one of those where, you know, and with hindsight, it's a wonderful thing, and sometimes we think, oh, I wish I'd waited, but no, definitely looks strong going into game week 4. Okay, that's interesting. We'll just wrap up our sort of conclusion of game week 3 by...
Wait, can I say something about this team?
Yeah, go for
like
it.
If you're looking at for Chelsea, right? Like, I'm assuming you want to keep JP, and if Palmer, he wasn't in training yesterday, but he's scheduled to come back on Thursday. So hopefully he does at least. Maybe he might make the bench for Brentford. I don't know what's going to happen there. So would you consider maybe selling him, or are you just going to hold now?
No, Palmer, I'll get rid of. If he's not, I need a feeling he's actually going to start. Otherwise, because after that, isn't it Manchester United and Man City? I can't remember. It's got two. Let me have a look. He's got two trickier fixtures, if I'm right or not. Let me see. He's got Brentford, then he's got Man U. Oh no, it's Brighton actually. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to
exactly.
hold. I don't think I'm going to hold that long, Kanji. I'm caught up in a bit of a predicament. If I don't have the confidence he's starting against Brentford, it's painful because if I start him and he only plays 20, 15 minutes, that's hideous. Like
Yeah,
it's
I could say
worst
like
case
something
scenario.
that I could say one thing that you might not like, but Cucurella to one of Gabriel or Van Dijk is a very sideways move that that helps you get rid of the Chelsea player,
I would
right? You
prefer
can
to
keep.
keep. I would prefer to keep him, mate, and
I know, I
get rid
know,
of Palmer.
I knew you were gonna say this, but this is what I would do. I
It's
know you
definitely an
won't want to
option.
do
No,
that.
not only because he's actually been excellent. So why get rid of a player? I agree. I could beef up the defense, and that is a plan. I've got ideas of Arsenal plans. I think we'll talk more about our respective teams, but that 100% is more than likely, Kanji. If say Palmer is, I know he's not playing against Brentford. I think he's going, and it's a
Mm.
combo of a cheap midfielder and then Gui to up to Mateta or something like that's going to happen, or even Haaland from Watkins. I could go
Ooh,
drastic and go fully for it, but I'm not sure if that's worthwhile because then I won't be able to buff up the defense. But we're getting more into
interesting.
that
Very
detail.
interesting.
Interesting. Well, thanks for those guys. Interesting game week 3 teams, and we'll get on to our game week 4 transfer plans in a bit. Just to round off game week 3 in terms of the mini league at the moment. So 112 people in the mini league, as far as I'm aware. I think with all the sort of, there are a few on the same position, but it's around 112. But the current people, with 0 points from the first 3 weeks in their head-to-head include the likes of Colm, Caden, Frank King, Mark Lynch, and the pod's own Jack Hinch is on 0 points so far this season. So unfortunate starts for those. But at the right end of the table, surprise, surprise, the current holder of the mini league, Chris, is at the top. Yeah, he is on 9 points out of 9 so far with 203 on his overall score. Also up there, the likes of Christopher, Craig, Lauren, and Jeff Hutchinson, all on 9. So it's an interesting start. I'm in 22nd with 2 wins out of 3, 6 points for me so far. So I got a nice win in game week 3, 59-40. So hopefully more of the same for me in game week 4. Beating Miguel Azevedo. But we'll get into the game week 4 fixtures in a second. So game week 4 it is an interesting round of fixtures because there are some exciting games. So the early kickoff is Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. So it's a 11 o'clock deadline on Saturday the 13th. And that is, of course, Nottingham Forest under the new appointment of Ange Postecoglou, which is certainly an interesting story with him, as a former Spurs manager going straight to the Emirates Stadium. We've also got the 3 o'clock games, a proper Saturday football for once, which is nice. We've seen quite a lot of sort of spread games on the Sunday these first few weeks, but now it's back to the normal schedule. So we've got Bournemouth, Brighton, Palace, Sunderland, Everton, Villa, Fulham, Leeds, Newcastle, Wolves, and then we've got 2 late games, 5:30 West Ham, Spurs, and then another London derby, Brentford, Chelsea at 8 o'clock. And then Sunday, Burnley against Liverpool. And then the Manchester derby, Man City hosting Manchester United. So from those fixtures, firstly, before we get into our game week 4 teams, any sort of fixtures there, Kanji, that are really sort of standing out to you in terms of attacking this game week 4?
Yeah, I like the Crystal Palace at home game to Sunderland. Liverpool definitely to Burnley. I wish I could own more Liverpool players this week. Those would be the 2 ones for me.
What about you, Mo?
Yeah, I agree with Kanji. I like those 2 fixtures. Potentially, it's still an unknown quantity with Brentford. That could be something in there for Chelsea if Chelsea turn up. And Newcastle versus Wolves. That's got potential there as well. And on Newcastle, been strong defensively, maybe a bit toothless since they've lost their forwards. But if they turn on here, Wolves don't look good this season. They don't look good, and there could be goals there.
Yeah, well, definitely some sort of considerations of the fixtures, and we'll first of all start with you, Kanji, because I know that you've got a wildcard draft that you're eyeing up. So talk us through it for the audio. You know what you're thinking. What has the button been pressed now?
The button's already been pressed. Transfers have been made. You know, when you make too many transfers, you lose a little bit of team value on a player. Like I've already done that as well. But you know what? Like I am very, very content with this decision. There were a lot of issues in my squad. I look at both of your teams and I feel the same way. But again, it's your team and your decision. But again, let me just walk through this team for the audio. I'll try my best to be as quickly as possible just to cover all the slides that I sent. But in general, here we go. So my goalkeepers are David Raya for Arsenal and Dubravka for Burnley. My defense is Lacroix for Crystal Palace, Van Dijk for Liverpool, Joachim Anderson for Fulham, Marcos Senesi for Bournemouth, and then Tosin Adarabioyo for Chelsea. My midfield is Paqueta for West Ham, Semenyo for Bournemouth, Salah for Liverpool, Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United, Iliman Ndiaye for Everton. In my attack, I've got Gyökeres for Arsenal, Mateta for Crystal Palace, and then Igor Thiago for Brentford. Now, okay, so I had a lot of issues in my former squad. Going into the new team, it's like a fresh start. And I think the best place to start would just be to go into a fixture ticker. I don't know if you have that pulled up. Hopefully it'll come up in a second. Okay, so let's move there. So first things first, I think it's very important to recognize like what you want to do with your premiums. Now, I know that it doesn't really show it right now in this fixture ticker because I wanted to keep it in a small view, but from 13 to 17, there's a gorgeous run for both Liverpool and Manchester City. So for me, I'm a very safe manager, so I want to have both Salah and Haaland non-negotiable. However, from game week 7 to game week 11 or game week 12, there's a great run for Arsenal. If you can see, they start with West Ham, Fulham, Palace, Burnley, Sunderland. And there's a great run for Chelsea at the same time as well, where they play Nottingham Forest, Sunderland, Spurs, Wolves, and Burnley. So I think I want to be getting onto Palmer. I'm going to potentially consider captaining him during that run. I want to get onto Gyökeres, who's now on the penalties, according to a lot of the news reporters. So I'm going to start with Palmer and Gyökeres in this run, and I will sell them to get to both Salah and Haaland. And that means that I need to keep one of Salah or Haaland throughout the entire time. So that's why I've decided to go with Salah. And I think it makes sense because he has more standout captaincy weeks. In game week 4, he would be the captain. In game week 5, he'd be the captain. Now, Haaland has the major standout fixture in game week 6. I mean, if you're following FPL content, you know most people that have Salah are likely to either switch to Haaland or free hit in 6. So I would look to free hit in that week. And then I'm not really too worried about captaincy until the rest of it because I would have either the Chelsea talisman or the Arsenal talisman. So that's what I think from a macro perspective. Next, let's move on to the next slide. This is going to be looking at the expected goals that teams have created from open play. This is like non-pen XG, and it's also non-pen expected goals conceded. So we can see who are the best attacks and who are the best defenses, right? So the question to me is like, what has really changed from game week 1? I think the first thing I have to mention is like Bournemouth, even though they have replaced their entire back line, they've replaced Zabani, they've replaced Hoyson, they've replaced Kirkes, and yet still they've played Liverpool, one of the best attacks in the league. I would say the best attack in the league, and they're still 5th for non-pen expected goals conceded. That is excellent. So even though their fixtures, because they played Wolves, they've played Wolves, they played Liverpool, and then they played another like mid-table team. And the fact that they're in 5th tells me that they're just a mid-table defense. And so I think that's something that stood out to me. And the second is that even though Kluivert hasn't played, like the coach just has such a good system that they're still, even though they've had mid-fixtures, they're 5th for expected goals non-pen as well. So they're a good attack and a good defense. So the coach really just has to be respected. Shout out to Andoni Iriola. So shout out to him. Semenyo would be a great pick. Marcos Senesi, who has been picking up DEFCONs, we'll touch on that a little bit later, is a great pick. Petrovic is a great pick. Even Nielsen's a great pick. So I think I want to be buying into Bournemouth. Secondly, one thing that has changed for me from game week 1 is also Everton. So I was thinking Everton would be a great defense with a poor attack. However, the data really doesn't agree with that. Even though they have played Wolves and they have played Leeds, their defense is in the bottom half of the table. That just goes to show you that I don't really want to be trusting Everton defensively. Now, what happened is that Jack Grealish went to Manchester City, right? He was signed for $100 million. He did absolutely nothing for them. So even though they were winning trophies, it wasn't really because of him. Now he has left and gone to Everton. He's gotten the freedom. And because he's gotten the freedom, he's become that talismanic type of player for Everton. And I think he's just their best player now. And he's really elevated that attack where he controls the possessions, he draws the fouls, and Grealish is the perfect FPL asset to not own because he's the talisman that doesn't take the pens and doesn't like to shoot. So he's perfect for somebody like Iliman Ndiaye, who's on the penalties and the chances will be created for him. If I'm a defense trying to stop Everton, I'd like to double up on Grealish. That'll leave like open runs for the striker as well as the right winger. So that's my personal opinion. And I think Grealish is a great player and he's elevated that Everton attack. So those are the two things that have really changed. I also want to shout out Arsenal, who are like mid-table, even though they've had mid fixtures, so I think, or bad fixtures, so I think that's okay. Liverpool are below average; they're just mid-table. I expect that to normalize over time because they played Arsenal and Newcastle. Just keep in mind, all of this data is very fixture dependent, a very small sample size of only 3 weeks. Is there anything that stood out to you guys?
Well, I was going to ask because you mentioned about Grealish there, Kanji. Do you not think, Mo, that like, and I agree that the data is showing here. So for the audio, Everton are the fifth highest, fifth highest for XG in the first few weeks, 4.1, and the likes of Njai and Grealish might well be sort of good, SAR replacements for those that need them. But do you think someone like Grealish is going to be, someone that we might ignore and we might go for Njai just because of that penalty duty, or do you think maybe this data for Everton is skewing it? I know you're trying to be neutral from from a Liverpool perspective. But...
No. I think what Kanji said about Grealish and how it impacts the team is I'd agree with that assessment because he's not weird, but for FPL it's quite frustrating. He plays very wide, brings players in, but he's such an excellent player, which we've seen recently. He's playing with a smile on his face, and Ndiaye has benefited. You're right. When Grealish has got the ball, you have the confidence to bomb the box, knowing the pass is going to be made. So I think the forwards, the potential, even maybe Dewsbury Hall, whoever's playing in whoever gets permission by Moyes to crash the box, could benefit from him. So I think he's a decent pick, But I agree, Ndiaye, who I sold last game week. Let's not talk about that one. But he's a good pick as well. Everton. Would I really get too excited about their attackers? Maybe if they're cheap, I suppose it could work. But the reality is Moyes will get this team back. Kanji, I know you're not too impressed with their defense, and I agree. But I think he's working on a balance. He's introduced a lot of attacking players. I think he'll pull that back soon. He's not the type of manager to have fun and go toe-to-toe every week. That would kill Moyes. He's not really built like that. So I think you're going to see that change. You're going to see the attack drop off a bit and the defense improve. I don't think that sits well with Moyes. So that's my take on Everton. Agree with what you said on Bournemouth. I think they're just an excellent team. Look at the players they've lost, and they've had a couple of injuries, and they still look great. We saw that firsthand how they played against Liverpool. They're a very good team.
Yeah. And how much? I mean, it's early in the season, Kanji. So how much would you read into these sort of stats for, let's say, expected goals conceded? Do you
Not
think
much? No, this is very like you have to put everything into context, right? So Liverpool being mid-table, they'll be number 1 or number 2 at the end of the year.
Exactly.
Like you have to take it with a pinch of salt for sure. But like for example, like look at Newcastle, right? They're first for non-pen expected goals conceded, and they've already played some tough fixtures. So maybe their defense is slept on. Maybe we should be considering the likes of maybe a Lewis Hall, but he's not really nailed. Livramento and Trippier. With 3 of them, it's 2 of them will play. The nailedness is not there, but maybe Fabian Schär, maybe Nick Pope could be an option. So something to consider.
Yeah, definitely one to ponder. And for those on the YouTube, it's a great little sort of chart. So if you are listening on Spotify, definitely worth checking out. Yes, and it makes us sort of consider about sort of rotations and using different options. And Kanji, you've always talked about that with Senesi and Joachim Andersen. So sort of interesting takes on this because a lot of the time the fixtures look there. We probably saw that for a lot of defenders last season. They had great fixtures. Let's use it as rotation, and then there was just so many goals scored last season that regardless of fixture, it kind of made it hard to get those returns. But do you think with these two, maybe we could see a bit more sort of fruitfulness defensively?
Oh, if you haven't followed me on Twitter, please do. I was on Bruno Fernandes before the community was on Bruno Fernandes. Like I'd already posted like a thread, had like hundreds of likes on Bruno Fernandes before the content creators were posting it because they saw it in review. I was on Joachim Andersen and Marco Senesi this rotation in preseason, I think, and I was on Lacroix in preseason, but I switched to Nico Williams at the deadline. Big regret. But this rotation, I think every single content creator that wildcards will own both of these assets. If I include Joachim Andersen, Marco Senesi, and Lacroix, I think all the content creators will own at least 2 of those 3. I bet your bottom dollar. And I was on all 3 of them in preseason, and I really regret not going there. And it's one of the reasons I'm wildcarding, because I want to lock these guys in at the cheapest prices because they're the best assets. And I know it. I can see it already. So let's first look at their data, right? When we're considering defenders, can we really trust the defenses? We already looked at Bournemouth. I trust the coach. They've had slightly more difficult fixtures, and they're top 5 for defense. Now that's why I really like Senesi, right? Because you're getting the clean sheet. He also had 9 GA 2 years ago. Last season he didn't really start that many games, but he had 9 GA 2 years ago, but he only had like 5 XGI. So I'd expect maybe 4 or 5 returns. He's already picked up 1 lucky assist to Even Nielsen, and he's excellent for DEFCON, and that's a systematic thing where they play a very high line, they press high. There's a lot of turnovers in those games. So the center backs that play against Bournemouth and the Bournemouth center backs all end up with a lot of CBIT, where he actually averaged 10.5 CBIT last year, and he's averaging 14. And it's just not, it's a systematic thing. And I think Marco Senesi is an absolute lock. And then Joachim Andersen is the one that I'm a little bit more I was more sold on him in preseason, and I'm less sold on him now. However, last season, Fulham were 5th for expected goals conceded last year, so they're a very solid defense. And I expect that with these fixtures that are upcoming for this to improve. And you can see how this rotation works very well. Keep in mind that my entire team is based on a bench boost in game week 5 and a free hit in game week 6. So don't really worry about the game week 6 fixture. I know in this rotation it looks great, but in other ones it won't. But you can see how well it rotates, and don't really need to spend a transfer on it until game week 18. So very happy with these picks. Both of them are strong on DEFCON, mid-table defenses. So
yeah, the one I've never been massively sold on, don't know about you, Mo, is Anderson, just because like Fulham, I just think always the defense that flatter to deceive. The data looks great, but a lot of the time they just let in like late goals and can sort of almost be like just on the cusp of greatness, but then might not be regular in terms of clean sheets. So do you think when it comes to defenders, especially this season, that we should, when we have to factor in the defensive contributions, adding to those, even if they don't get the clean sheet points, that maybe if a defense isn't that strong like a Fulham, it shouldn't matter to us too much?
I think it's a game changer because it's made the gap between the 4.5 million defenders, say the 5 or 5.5 or 6, is much closer. So from my perspective, I like both of these defenders. I mean, I've already got Anderson. I started the season with him, so that tells you. I was close, like you actually, Kanji. I was close to starting with him and the Crystal Palace, same. And I changed my mind. Not quite sure what, sometimes you overthink things, and I was guilty of that. I was guilty of that. Me and Praz were talking about this regularly, to be honest, at the start of the season. I changed it. I think he kept Lacroix actually. But I like Anderson for Fulham. I think at that price and those fixtures, and especially you've got the rotation here, which makes it even together. They're even better picks than individually. And I'm convinced. I'm happy with both. I've got Anderson. I've not had the urge to remove him. And even against the tricky fixtures, I think even rotations are not as needed as last season because of DEFCON. Believe it or not. So a long time ago, the rotations was like very, very important because you're basically, with a defender, especially if it's a cheap one, you're not going to get assists or attacking returns. You're hoping for a clean sheet. So it's all about the fixture play. Where now, Anderson against like you said, he played Chelsea. I think they lost and still got
3 points.
I'm not sure if we're calling 3 points a return. I'd personally say 4, but still 3 points is 3 points. Better than 1 or 2 in it. We take it. So I like it, and I like the slide you've put together. Yeah.
Definitely
appreciate that.
Well,
So,
moving from the budget sort of defenders to the more expensive ones. I mean, this is where I struggle a bit more, to be honest, Kanji, because I don't know if this is a rotation. I hope it isn't, because a lot of the time when one of these expensive defenders, I just think you start them every week because there's always the threat that Van Dijk or Gabriel could get goals. Now, is that your plan, to just have these as sort of set and forget starting?
My plan is to actually be aggressive, like where I know in early wildcard, like the idea is never to use your transfers, to like set your team up to never spend a transfer. But I think I'm going to be a casual this year. I'm allowed 5 free transfers come game week 16. Shout out to me and shout out to everyone else that wildcards early. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of the fixtures here. I'm going to target Van Dijk for 4 and 5, free hitting in game week 6. Then I'm going to switch Van Dijk to Gabriel, get that run from 7 to 11, and then switch from Gabriel back to Van Dijk in 12. And I know this. It looks very aggressive. You don't need to do this. I could start with Gabriel. I could save that transfer. I don't need to start with Van Dijk. But I just think there's so much upside here. Like I think if you understand football and you know how good these players are, I think the rotation really picks itself.
You're coming with the fire tonight, Kanji. I have to say, like, if you understand football, I've got all the likes on my tweets. Like, you're coming in savage. I respect
I
it.
like it. He's got
No,
the
but yo,
energy
this
today.
this
I
is
like
so
it.
this is like no brainer. Like, look at this. Look how nicely this works. Like, it's actually crazy if you deep it. Like, two of the best center backs. You're getting the C bits. You're gonna get the defensive clean sheets. You're gonna get a potential goal from a set piece. Like, you're getting everything in the good fixtures. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's just I suppose would you say maybe one thing is Mo with the sort of the attacking options at Liverpool and Arsenal, does it make having two expensive defenders, even if it is one at a time in this sort of fixture run, are you sort of not as worried about players like moving towards players of this position because we're so sort of focused on the attacking assets from those clubs?
I think the way the game's gone at the moment, if Palmer's still out injured, then there's not really other expensive midfielders. Saka's injured. There's no Son. If you own Bruno, you can afford to have one of the other Man United midfielders. You're going to have double up there. And the rest of the midfielders who are doing okay are all cheap, which means unless you have Haaland and Salah, you've got loads of money to play around with. So I think putting the money in defense is not a problem this season. And we're going to see. I mean, even I am contemplating maybe not Van Dijk and Gabriel or the switch over in this scenario, Kanji, you just explained. I'm thinking the double up in game week 7. So Raya and Gabriel, like he will be. I was contemplating that 100%.
So yeah, I'll be on that. I'll be on that myself.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well, right?
definitely. It makes that almost picks itself for me around that period there. Picks itself. You'd have to be very unlucky for something like injuries because both of these players, even though Arsenal have picked they've got a depth now, even in centre back, they've got an amazing squad. You're not going to get much rotation in those two players, Raya and Gabriel. And if there is, it'll be one, which you could argue any team that's capable of happening with any player you've got. So you can't even scare yourself with that. So I like it. Liverpool, like you said, they've had 3 difficult fixtures. So their defense is going to improve. They've changed a lot of players this season, as you know, Kanji. They're going to improve come as the game weeks come along. So both picks are good. Both picks are good, Roberto. To answer your question, no problem spending money big at the back. Yeah, no.
Okay, cool. So yeah, just for a reference, like it really isn't that big at the back though, because it's only
your
one
is not
defender.
actually. You're right. Yeah, you're just rotating. Where with me,
Yeah.
I don't mind spending. The reason your money's a bit more spread, I suppose. Well, not too much. You've got a £6 million sub, I suppose, because you're bench boosting, like you said.
Yeah.
And free.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense. Otherwise, when he becomes potentially a 4.5, when you don't need to do that no more, that one of those cheap defenders can go up if you want. You've got the options.
Yeah.
It's a
So
potential.
okay, all right. So you know what, you're cooking. So let me put it like this, right? So you mentioned earlier Van Dijk to Gabriel, then I'd have my double Arsenal defense for my run. Then the next question is, where's Palmer? How are you going to get to Palmer? You need to get to Chelsea. Like, where's João Pedro? Well, I'm happy to bet against João Pedro's effective ownership, and I think Gyökeres is a better asset than him, given that he's on penalties, even though he's slightly more expensive. Secondly, I think Mateta is going to be there for 2 weeks. Well, I'm looking in an ideal scenario to wildcard in game week 4, roll in game week 5 while I bench boost. And then I would free hit in game week 6, get to game week 7, and I want to do the Van Dijk to Gabriel move. And then I would have already rolled my 1 transfer. So when I get to game week 8, it's Mateta down to a 4.4 forward and Semenyo up to Cole Palmer. I have 0.4 in the bank. I don't think I will be priced out of those moves. I think if anything, Mateta and Semenyo will likely rise in that time. And I would be playing Thiago with Gyökeres, and that would put me with 7 penalty takers in my starting 11 every single week with no rotation in my attack. I've already told you about I have the best defender in the game. Arguably, I'd have the best goalie in the game. I have Senesi Anderson rotation and Lacroix as my value pick. So that is my team. What do you guys think?
I think I like it. I mean, I think there are some different picks in there as well, like Paqueta as well. There's been a sort of few murmurings about him with West Ham's fixtures, and I guess he's made a good start to the season with the sort of involvement he's had that Forest game as well. So I have to say, the more I look at your team, Kanji, the more I'm thinking like it is looking a bit tasty. I'm not saying I'm gonna copy it or anything, but I'm saying I could maybe magpie a few sort of elements of it. Do you agree with that, Mo?
I can tell Kanji's He's deep into the data this season on analytics because there's 6 penalty takers in this team. So that already tells you, I think there's Mateta, Gyökeres, and Dai, Fernandez, Salah, and Paquette. So fair play. I mean, there's no problem. I like the team. I mean, I think possibly things change real quickly. Reinders could potentially still be a superior pick than all of those midfielders except for Salah and Bruno playing in that attacking position. Man City
Right,
still...
right. So wait. Can I address that? So
Mhm.
like what you see how I mentioned like Mateta and Semenyo becomes Palmer in a dud
Yes.
spot, and that's where
Yeah.
Thiago would come in, and that dud spot would become third on my bench. Well, eventually when I get to game week 13, I need to bring Holland in, right? So it would be like imagine this team where Semenyo's Palmer and Thiago's starting, right? That would
Yeah.
be my team. I would switch Palmer and Gyökeres to Holland and Reinders when Man City's
Yeah.
fixtures come. So like I mean
Yeah.
these moves I've considered what
You've
you're
already
saying.
considered. Yeah, you've already
Yeah.
considered.
Well,
I'm thinking about without a wild card. That's the reason. So
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's the thing. Because the thing is, bro, this is the advantage of wildcarding. I fixed my defense. Like I don't need to do Van Dijk to Gabriel, bro. I can just keep it the same, right? But now it's like I can spend all my transfers on the premium attackers, right? But versus like for you guys, you're gonna look and you're gonna see fires like everywhere. It's like how do I address one at a time? It's hard.
Yeah,
I
well,
hear you.
maybe we like fires, Kanji. Maybe we're just into that glow, that sort of inferno feel of our teams. But talking of a few fires, maybe with Cole Palmer in the side, it'll be interesting to see what Mo thinks. So sort of transfer sort of plans, Mo, going into game week 4.
So looking at the team this week, I'm not filled with much confidence. 2 Nottingham Forest players against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Palmer red flagged, and then 2 Aston Villa attackers who they look toothless. I'm hoping in an FPL at times you need things to change, and what's it called? International break. Who knows? Could hopefully change things. And what I mean by that is maybe Aston Villa come back, the new signings. There's a bit more confidence, and things go their way against Everton. They get at least one one goal, and hopefully one of those returns. If Palmer is fit, I'm more than likely going to roll and just grit my teeth this game week and take 2 transfers into next week. The contrast, though, if I get a feeling he's not, I don't think I can bring myself to play Juve again and bench Palmer 2 weeks in. That's a bit much for a £10.4 million. I can't remember what he's gone down to. I think that might be pushing it. So what I've looked at, I've done a video on this for the 3 options I've considered is do nothing if Palmer's fit, no problem. If he's not fit, he comes out part as a -4. He becomes, there's so many midfielders. I could go to anyone, of course, Reinders or whoever, like I said, go there. And then basically Mark Gui becomes a Mateta, like Kanji's got in his team. Obviously, the 2 gorgeous fixtures, penalties, and all that good stuff. That's one option. The other option potentially is it's a bit more higher risk here, would be to take out Palmer and Watkins and then bring in a cheap midfielder, like I say, a Dewsbury Hall or something. And then bring in Haaland and go for a Haaland Salah team. Then part of me thinks, why would you have a £14 million player that you're not really going to captain, where the rest of your team, potentially, I can't improve my midfield, I can't improve my defense. Is that really viable? But these are options I've considered.
Yeah.
More likely, it's Palmer gone for a midfielder and Gui gone upgraded to say.
I suppose the question then to consider, Mo, is if you're thinking of not free hitting in game week 6, then it does allow you to have Haaland for that Burnley fixture if you bring him in now. Whereas if you're going to free hit anyway that week, then there's no sort of necessary rush to get Haaland in.
Especially if I'm not captaining him. I know that's what goes through my head. It's just, there's so many things spinning depending where I use my chips. My chips, I'm not fully actually fixed on them. The triple captain is easy. That one I'm going to play almost the day before. I feel the right player versus the right fixture and look at it. I'm not stressing that.
Yeah.
Bench boost, I was thinking behind the wild card, there's enough cheap options that I could put. I don't over complicate bench boost. It's a bit of a rubbish chip. So put it together, put 3 players on the bench. Hopefully they all play. I'll take that, to be honest, and hope I get lucky with some of them. It's only that it's going through my head. I'm not sure the free hit, when to utilize it. Game week 6 is popular. It's because obviously the Man City fixture, isn't it? Man City versus Burnley. I don't know. But what do you guys think about my team for this week?
I think the team is good. I think, as you said, the Forest players away to Arsenal. Sells is fine because everyone's kind of got that issue. But with Anderson, like, I've got a similar issue in my team, but for the defense for Forest. So I've got I've got Murillo, as one of my sort of only defenders. So it's whether or not you think it's worth a hit. If you're dealing with Palmer as well, whether you want to make another transfer, whether that's a Villa player or Anderson, to have someone to come, or upgrading someone on your bench to come in for Anderson if you want to bench him. It's whether it's worth a -4 really, because as you said, Kanji, although it's a hard fixture, Anderson is just consistent, and so I mean, it may be consistent in the wrong way at the moment in terms of he doesn't get too many attacking returns, but he does always play and he's on set pieces, and so I don't like at the start of the season I was a lot more anti and Elliot Anderson, whereas now I'm sort of middle with Elliot and anti Joachim. If you get my thrust, but I'm not sure. I think ultimately, this Timo doesn't necessarily have to take a hit, but I don't know if you think that's the same, Kanji.
I was going to add one more thing, and I was going to add one more thing before I let Kanji have his opinion on my team. That sometimes as well, you've got to take a bit of pain in a game week, where the game week after, for example, so Sells and Anderson, they look a bit grim this week. After that, it's Burnley and Sunderland. Yeah. Burnley, when you look at them, so sometimes you've got to remove the short, like the quick, just one game week FOMO. I could feel some pain here. But then people that don't have Nottingham Forest, and there's a lot of unknowns, the new manager bounce against two good fixtures. That could be potentially, just say, a clean sheet for Sills in one of those, and attacking return for Anderson. So there's this is the being optimistic, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think like that as well. So it could be short-term pain for a long-term gain there.
Well, the thing is with Forest is, like, if you're free hitting in 6, then you're not really saying it correctly, right? Because, like, you get the Sunderland fixture in 6 if you're free hitting in that week. So that's really irrelevant, right? So, like, that really depends on your trip strategy. Also, like, when do you plan to wildcard? When do you plan to bench boost? Because, like, you could consider, for example, like Palmer to, like, a midfielder, like a mid-priced one, Dewey up and get the bench boost out of the way. Because you have playing players, right?
Yeah, that's one of the considerations. Yeah, 100%. I think I was doing some planning the other day, actually, and looked at when was the best. I'd done that combination, Palmer to, say, Reinders and Gui to Mateta. And then I looked through when was the best combination. And I think I can't remember if it was game week 8 or a random game week, not a popular one that everyone's doing, but then that would have been the best for my bench boost. Yeah. So that is something I'm contemplating as well.
Yeah.
I'm assuming with your...
I've got no clues, Kanji. I mean, we'll get on to my team in a second, but I've got no clue when it comes to chips.
Wait. What can I give my advice on this one? So I would sell Palmer. I would bench boost in game week 5. Ooh. I know it's not going to look that great, but I would bench boost in game week 5. I take the -4 and I wildcard in game week 6. I will get rid of this. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I'll tell you what I would do. You can switch to Holland and you can go with Del Sala in that structure when you get to game week 6 wildcard. You can also wildcard this week and just get rid of the fires. Like, you have so many options available. I think in my opinion, I think I'm on wildcard myself. But if I had this, I would wildcard for sure. But it's up to you.
I'm not sure. I've got that opinion. I'm not unlike you. I don't think I've seen enough yet for me to wildcard. I've never been an early wildcarder and aggressive with my wildcards. In fact, I think one year I only used the wildcards I had to. I had to use it just because it was going to expire.
I've never what about like bench boost in 5? Like, would you consider that just to get out the way?
Because I can't remember who they've got though. I need to remember who my
Burnley have Forest at home.
Yeah, it's not great that. I fancy Forest with Ange there to tank them up there.
To score, that's fair. Like, in game week 8, you could aim to bench boost in 8 with the night play.
That's what I think. That's what I think I saw. That's it. Yeah, I told you I done some. It's game week 8, exactly that. Yeah, I think I was looking because the key would be here is the Burnley. Burnley have to have a small chance, even though it don't mean nothing, Kanji. They could play the Leeds game and concede 2, and it's still useless. But to give myself the best chance possible. So that was one of the ones.
Burnley defense, bro. I can't believe you have double Burnley defense.
It's because it's only because it's the start of the season. I don't think I don't think I've used them once.
Would you then consider like wildcarding and then bench boosting, so that way you don't just spend transfers?
Yeah, that's one combination as well. I mean, I didn't expect myself to be in this situation. I messed up not messed up, but I just got a couple of decisions wrong in the game week 1 and 2. I had to use my free transfers. I was hoping I'd be here with a couple of transfers free, but it didn't materialize.
Yeah, I
Now
know
I've
what you
got,
mean.
but early in the season, I don't get too scared about that. There's so much time to. I'm starting to see the ones who really needs to come good. If I'm not going to wild card or do anything drastic now, it's the Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest players in the next 3 game weeks. They need to deliver. If they don't, and then in hindsight, I should have 100% wild carded now, as Kanji just said, and fixed it.
Yeah, but
I
look,
think,
to reiterate, I think your point of not wildcarding, we looked at the data. Everton were in the bottom half for defense, so I think it's fine. You're probably going to get at least one return from them. You'd assume.
yeah, you'd hope.
Well, certainly interesting. My team could well have a few transfers, but I'm also taking. I think my approach this season, Mo, is taking a very relaxed approach to each game week because I think because it's a season like no other in terms of the chips and like I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of planning that I've just not had the time to do this season. So I'm sort of taking it as it comes, and if I feel like I want a wild card, if I feel like I want a bench boost, then I just will in the spur of the moment. So at the moment, I've got Sells away to Arsenal. It is what it is. Fine with that. The problem with this team comes in the defense because at the minute I've got Murillo away to Arsenal, I've got Dorgu away to Man City, and I've got a flagged Keanu Hoover who's probably not nailed. He was just a 4.0 anyway, so it didn't seem to matter at the time. But the way things have turned out, the back three is not looking great outside of Porro and Chalobah, which I'm fairly happy with. The midfield, I've got Salah away to Burnley, captain. I think he was captain for both of you as well, and not surprised. I think it will be him for a lot of people, although, maybe some other options we could be considering. Semenyo at home to Brighton, Dewsbury Hall at home to Villa, Wirtz away to Burnley, and then a front three of Watkins away to Everton, Pedro away to Brentford, and Wood away to Arsenal. I'm not too concerned about Chris Wood. I know a lot of people will be benching him because of the fixture, but I think Ange coming in could actually suit Chris Wood. Hopefully Forest could score a lot of goals. It's just how they do defensively under Ange's sort of high intensity style will be interesting to see. But yeah, sort of 2 flag players with Hoover and Sarr, and then Dorgu. So at the moment I've got Sarr on the bench, and if I replace one of my defenders, then that could be my 2 transfers. I could do Sarr out and then one of my defenders out. Do you think, Mo, you'd do anything else with this team, or is it worth sort of wild carding and throwing it, the script up in the air?
I don't think it doesn't look good for this week. I mean, your one is, I'm not sure if it's worse than mine or close to, because you've got the triple Forest against the Arsenal, which is not great. But then, like I said, game week 5 and 6, you've got the triple Forest. So okay, that's not too bad. I like the others are all good. Watkins, obviously, your bench is in trouble. Yeah, you're in dangerous territory there, of course. I think Sarr you need to correct. He won't be back for a little while, so he's definitely one change for you there. It's just whether or not you can change it for a like for like, or can you do a double move and really do something juicy here?
Yeah, the thing
trying
is
to look
with
at you.
one free transfer as well, it makes it is
Ooh.
that hit going to be paid back, especially for a defender? It's like it's hard to say that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like they're not great for any sort of defense in game week 4 outside of Liverpool, probably.
yeah. I think it still might be worth. I mean, what? So you're thinking to gamble and just play this team here? I mean, you need 2 things need to happen. You need, apart from the difficult matchups, you need all your players to play as well. I mean, maybe we
Yeah.
overthink that because bench tends to be 1 or 2 point anyway. So it's no point. Maybe I'm scaring you too much there. You're going to need, like me, you're going to need, unlike, because Kanji's team is primed for the upcoming game week. So it's planned. So when you look at it, it looks nice. When you
It's
look
not
at
the
our
same.
team, the
Yeah.
matchups are like, we're great. We need luck to come. I need like certain stuff to happen that is, you wouldn't expect to happen for me to have a good game week. So yeah, it's not looking great here.
Would you consider
it's a-
Kanji? Sorry, I was just going to say, would you consider delaying the wild card because there might be another window that suits these set of 15 players better for another site. So let's say there was a game week like in the future that looked great for a bench boost, and then it made more sense to wildcard in tandem with that. Or do you think this team is needing a bench boot, needing a wildcard sort of sooner than that?
It's not needing a wild card. I mean, your attackers are pretty much healthy. You're chilling. I would say the Murillo pick is a bad pick. I think Sells is now going to be overpriced. So both of those picks are bad in my opinion. Dorgu is not going to be playing the easy games, I don't think. Maybe tactics will change, but those three picks are just, in my opinion, just bad now. So I wouldn't wild card them, but I would get rid of them. So I would do like Murillo to Lacroix would be a great move to get on top of the Crystal Palace fixture run. I think Sells you can just hold it. It's fine. It's not really worth, I don't think, moving and making a transfer on it. Like you can just hold, especially through like Burnley. And I think it's more so from a chip strategy perspective, right? Like when do you plan to bench boost? Are you considering doing Salah to Holland? Or are you planning to keep Salah? Because I'll give you an example. Like Verts has an expiry date, bro. Like he's in your team for 2 weeks and he should be gone. I think maybe our opinion will change, but he has an expiry date to me as well. So that's like 4 assets where I'm like, I want to get rid of them. So and also like if Salah does poorly, do you want to switch to Holland, or are you going to free hit in 6?
I think it's interesting because there's 2 game weeks still before that free hit week. I think we could learn so much from those 2 game weeks because of the fixtures. So with Verts, for instance, if he looks great against Burnley and Everton, we might then change our mind on him and he might not be a problem to have to deal with. If we see in those 2 weeks Salah looks awful, then yes, I can switch Haaland with a transfer or I can free hit. Like I feel like because of the fact that almost the first sort of milestone of a chip usage is in a couple game weeks, do I know exactly what my chip strategy is going to be now? Not really, to be honest. So maybe it's just one to wait and see. And then if I come to game week 6 and think, you know what, this team needs wildcarding, I could always just wildcard in the likes of Haaland for that fixture anyway, and then sort of take it from there. Do you sort of? I mean, I suppose that the consideration for me is if I didn't wildcard and I wanted to just replace Sarr, I could do Sarr to like a Grealish or something, and then potentially, if I think it's worth it, replacing. I mean, I've got a bit of money in the bank, so I could let's say I did Kiana Hoover out because he's not going to be useful anyway, and I brought in Grealish. I could get someone probably quite sort of decent for that money because Grealish is only 6.7, so I could get in a 4.6. Let's say it was someone that rotated well. Then I'd have Murillo for the great fixture against Burnley and Sunderland. That could be an option, and obviously Man United's fixtures, they don't get great very soon, but
Wait, so just to correct you guys, like you don't own like your force defenders in game week 6 if you're free hitting, right? Like you own them before and after. So I'm just emphasizing, like if you're free hitting in 6, like don't emphasize that. Like you own him for Arsenal, Burnley.
True. That's true. Yeah, that is true.
I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to tell you, like, right? If
you're
free hitting in 6, you don't have Haaland, bro. Like,
but I might not free hit in 6 is my point. Yeah,
same as me.
I'll probably
I don't see it,
but I don't know if I will.
I very rarely let those things scare me. Everyone at the moment is already giving Haaland 5 goals. I know he has scored 5 tonight, actually.
It might get before the Burnley game. He might get before the Burnley game and he gets injured. We just don't know.
Salah outscores him, probably. I won't be surprised. Salah outscores him. Football's... Sometimes I think we do a lot of fear-mongering, but then there are times where it is actually valid and you sit there and you go, you know what? Why didn't I do that? So
my problem, Mo, is always like I don't know the balance of over planning versus under planning. I always I'm somewhere in the middle, and so by the time I get to the game week, I'm like, oh, maybe looking back, I should have done more planning. But in the moment, weeks before that game week, I think, oh, if I over plan this, I could just get myself down a narrow passageway, and I just sort of don't give myself any sort of flexibility, and then I come to the game week and I've changed my mind anyway. So. I think I like to take the relaxed approach, but I don't know.
I think on this pod we've explained it well because me and you at the moment we're not set on a strategy. Basically, we're not fully confident on how things are going to go, so we're holding back. Where Kanji is actually confident, what he's seen for the first 3 weeks combined with his team's performance and the amount of fires he had to fight, he thought it was perfect timing. So I think it's always team dependent. I know you hear that a lot, but it is the truth as well. Me and you clearly don't have that feeling that he has with his team, that he's like,
Yeah.
you know what? No, I'm making this move. I've got no regrets. You know, even though, like you said, Kanji, you made good cases for both of us to wild card. And I agree. I can sit here and go, I said to you, I was honest. I need a lot of luck this game week. If I'm honest with you, for something, you know, I need things like happened to me last game week where Juve got a return and a clean sheet in a game that you would not expect. So I'm in the realms of that. So I hear you, but I'm still not as confident with the scene. That's why I'm holding off.
Yeah, that's okay. I think that's probably the right thing to do, right? Like until you feel comfortable, like where you're ready, you feel like you have enough information, that's when you pull the trigger, right? But I would say in this team, right, Murillo, like your assumption for him. Let's attack the assumption for why you bought him, right? Number one reason, he's 5.5, so you assume you would be picking up DEFCONs. He's not been doing that, right? The quality of the defense has just been mid-table, right? So like they're dominating possession more. They're not really sitting back and counterattacking as often. And with Postecoglou, I don't think they'll sit back. So like I don't like this, like that pick in particular, I think is like I don't want to say must sell, but if he was in my team, he'd be a must sell. Like because he's like, if I owned him, I would sell him. Like you're gonna start facing selling pressure.
Sell him ahead of Burnley, or would you just wait and give it a week?
Oh, you're getting like, you're definitely conceding in Arsenal, in my opinion. I think you're definitely conceding Arsenal. I don't know if Saka doesn't play, maybe you have a chance, but away, you're conceding. And then the next game is you hope like 60% chance you'll get a clean sheet, right? So it's like 2 + 6, and maybe the DEFCONs haven't even been there. So it's their best case scenario. And I'd rather just move to Lacroix long term. Like you're gonna want him, and you can get the value at time.
The other thing is, if I did replace Hoover and I just had Murillo for the Burnley game, there is just an argument to say that because of the fact that I'll be switched, you know, if I free hit anyway, it doesn't matter with Murillo. And also, because of the price point, you know, there are plenty of good 5.5 forwards that if I get to game week 7 after I free hit and then think, oh, what do I do with Murillo? That's fine. I can just deal with it then and sort of make the most out of the Murillo fixtures in game week 5 and bench Murillo in game week 4. Maybe that could be a sort of thing.
But you keep this in mind, right? Like I'm literally gonna tell you the team, right? Watkins has to become Gyökeres in game week 7, so he has a time. He has like a expiry date. Wood, his expiry date is game week 6. That's his last good fixture. He has an expiry date. João Pedro, you can keep him, right? So it's calm. Like Salah, you can keep him as well. Semenyo, you can keep him as well. Verts, he expires for me. I'm not owning this guy. I'd rather own Bruno in that spot. So like I'm telling you, like I would be wildcarding in the next few weeks. Like you don't need to do it this week, but maybe game week 5.
I'm not sure about the Verts one, Kanji. That one there.
Yeah, listen, I look at it differently, right? So we watch every game, right? Like he just hasn't adjusted. Like like physicality, like it's just too strong for the Prem. Like I don't know, he hasn't adjusted yet. Like he had some good moments though.
The first 3 games have been very difficult, and there's been a lot of change. He's adapting to a new league, a new system, new players, new man. There's a lot going on, and against 3 difficult, horrible fixtures. So now it's a matter of time when you got top bracket players like him. I'm not saying to you he's 100% going to become an exceptional FPL pick, because as Kanji said, you could spend 0.5 more and get a penalty taker. But I can put the doom and gloom against Bruno as well. He's a defensive midfielder. £9 million for someone that if you get clean sheets, if you get a penalty, I mean, you're better off just getting Paquette, because that's the same player. If you want to be really doom and gloom, because he's not playing at first. We thought Bruno was going to play at some part of his minutes in the attacking 10 positions. He's playing in the 6. When you play in the 6, one of your first jobs is obviously to protect the back 4. Obviously start play from deep and be creative. But it's also to get yellow cards when necessary, when to foul people, when to... It's not ideal. Even though he's a top bracket player, he will get DEFCONs, but he is £9 million. And at times we do oversell penalties. I think penalties should be used when it's a 50-50 between the player, not when it's like there's 2, if that makes sense, when it's a comparison. But the original point was...
Can I counterpoint to the Bruno thing? Like, okay, so last year, Bruno was averaging 0.44 XGI per 90, non-penalty. And this year he's averaging 0.37. Small sample size, but his fixtures have been poor. But let's just assume. So his XGI is lower. However, let's look at his DEFCON, right? Because last year he was playing in the 10, right? So it was 9.7 DEFCONs per 90. Now he's averaging 12.9. So essentially, he's going to be getting DEFCON in at least half of his games. Is that fair to say? So that would be, let's assume 19 times he's getting DEFCON times 2. There's an extra 40 points Anyways, like that's my point.
No, I hate
Bruno's crazy, bro.
Bruno, I started with Bruno last season. He's one of the reasons he cost me my poor season because he was hideous the first 8 game weeks. Remember, he was the underperforming his XG, and I've started again this season with him. So I do back him. I might not back Man United. I do back him as a player. So I totally get you. I think the original point was around Verts. Things can change real quick, as Roberto said. So you never know. You just. I think people are making early decisions on him. It's clear that we've got a 116 million pound player, a slots player. There's no way on earth he's going to be benched. So they're going to force him. They're going to get him adapted. It's very rare you don't buy a player like that and go, oh, I'll just play Gakpo. I don't think that exists. I think it's caused us a problem. Potentially, I've discussed this before, so I won't go into it in full detail with our team balance. And Liverpool, I think that's something we need to discuss separately. Kanji, Liverpool details there. But
I think it's just like I think owning Verts over Bruno is a skill issue, like long term. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's how I honestly feel. And I could argue like this punt is a good punt, right? Because you've gone for Liverpool's best fixtures, right? You're getting Burnley and Everton. Bruno is going to play Man City and Chelsea, so you're definitely going to outscore him. I think you should outscore him here, and then you make the move and you bring Bruno in, right, for the rest.
Verts might outscore Bruno.
Sorry, go for it, Mo.
I was going to say he might end up outscoring him big time because Man United are not good and Liverpool are by far the best team. So it just works out. He's going to be playing for the best team in the 10th position. He will start scoring and assisting where you're relying on Bruno to get DEFCON. So we'll see. Let's see. You never know.
True.
I've had a little tinker, right? Let me know, Mo, if you think this will be worth it, right? For -4. Would you like the sound of Grealish in for Sarr and either one of Senesi or Gay in for Hoover for -4? Do you think that's likely to pay itself back?
No, not this week. Not short term. Not this week. I don't think so. Because it's on defenders. I know, and even Grealish, I'm still not. He's done well so far, but I still, like I said, it's early days. It's Everton, it is Moyes.
Yeah. No, I hear you. This is the thing. So maybe I just wildcard. I don't know, but it's one to ponder over the next few days.
You don't need to. Like you just need to start cleaning. Like sells is fine. Murillo, you need to clean. Wood needs to be cleaned. Watkins needs to go to Gyökeres. Sarr needs to go. So you got 4, and then I think Verts to Bruno. So like 5 things. So you start cleaning one at a time, and it's fine. You don't need to.
Yeah.
But
a couple that I might change, but those are our transfer plans. We're going to get onto some differentials now. So the differentials last week, we had Dan FPL mate with a couple of punts with Harvey Barnes and Dango Ouattara, both of them blanking, unfortunately, in that game week. We also had some other differentials. I mean, Druv had a decent shout with Njai, who definitely did deliver with another haul in game week 3. Martinelli though blanking against Liverpool. So 50% so far for Druv. But we'll start off with our guest Mo. What differential? Two differentials have you got under 10% for game
2?
week?
Whoa. I'm struggling. I'm still looking for one. 1 minute. I'm gonna give you. No, I'm actually gonna give you. No. I've got one. I've got one. I'm not going to nick. I'm so desperate. I was going to nick Kanji's one, but that's not fair. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for Bowen, even though it's against Spurs. West Ham, after that incredible performance, the last game where no one expected it. Now, can they follow it up back to back? Of course, the matchup is not great. Spurs, they're going to be. I mean, they're going to want. They're going to want to come back on that. But I think he's a good punt for this upcoming game. It's one that I don't think a lot of people would expect me to go with. So I'll go with that. That's one of them. I know you two are thinking, nah, surely not.
No, I don't hate the pick. Is it the fixture that you're thinking of there, Mo?
No, I'm thinking confidence after that performance last game week. It's a home fixture. Spurs is not the easiest, but as it's a London derby, you never know, something could happen in that game. And I just think Bowen is ever present. He's gonna, if West Ham score, he's more than likely going to be involved. Like he's looked, he's just one of those players. And I can't believe he's still low owned. So for this game for this game that we're playing. I think that's a good one there.
It is
7.5.
surprising that it's surprising that he's not been part of Tuchel's plans, because I saw a stat the other day which was something like since April, Bowen has got like the most goals and assists of anyone or something in the England team. So yeah, it is surprising. He's been on. He ended last season really well. He's not exactly been ripping up trees though at the start of this season. So be interesting to see whether or not he can return to that. But yeah, with a London derby against Tottenham could well be a great shout. Any thoughts on yours, Kanji, in terms of game week 4?
Oh, by the way, Mo, I think that's a great differential. Bowen's like his finishing is elite. That used to be Klopp's like favorite player outside of like the big six, if you remember.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I was hoping one day he'd come replace Salah at some point, but Salah's like he's Benjamin Button, bro. He's aging like fine wine. This guy.
Exactly.
So I think my differential this week's going to be Hakuna Mateta. I mean, Jean-Philippe Mateta, the striker for Crystal Palace, 90 minutes on pens at home to Sunderland. Great pick. And if I had to pick a second, it would have been Lacroix at 2% EO.
Yeah, I do like that.
Good
Palace,
picks.
I mean, you'd think they'd do well against Sunderland, but to be fair to Sunderland, they have, really sort of exceeded a lot of people's expectations, especially at home though. So maybe going away to Palace will be a different story. No, I think the thing with Lacroix, as you were saying, is with a lot of these defensive contribution defenders, even if they don't keep a clean sheet, which you'd hope for in that game. But Lacroix's numbers have just been so good from a DEFCON point of view that he could just do what Anderson did against Chelsea and just get a 3-pointer. And I also quite like Mark Gay as well. Although he's not under 10, but if you didn't have the funds and you wanted to get someone, Lacroix's 2.4. So nice way into that Palace defense of 5 million. And of course,
you have to pick two. You have to pick two, Roberto.
If you've got one, Mo, that would be great. But no worries if not.
Isaac.
That's
my second one.
I mean, to be fair,
he's gonna get 15 minutes against Burnley, and that's still gonna beat the majority you watch. That's a goal there for him right there.
Probably, bro. He probably will.
No one's going to be bold enough to go there, so I respect it. I do like that. My two for this game week, as you said earlier, Mo. I mean, there's not a lot that are sort of really getting me excited, to be honest. I feel like it's slim pickings, but I have got someone who I think could be worth a little look, and that is Declan Rice. I think he's been picked already this season, I believe. Yeah, Kanji, you picked him in a previous game week. I think with Rice, I just look at him every week and I just think his performances, like even if the performance levels aren't there, he's got the routes to points, those corners. And with how Forest, have been defending, I think Ange might be given a rude awakening with a Declan Rice masterclass. And I mean, he's just for 6.5 million. I think what you're going to get from him. 2 assists already in the first 3 weeks. I think Declan is the one for this week. And then next to him, I've got this one's maybe a bit more out there. So bear with me as I sort of justify this one. But right, they've got a pretty good fixture, I think. Not an amazing fixture, but a pretty good fixture, and that is Sunderland's Granit Xhaka. Right, so hear me out. I know we've just said Crystal Palace, and we fancy them to do well, but I just feel like Xhaka, for me, he is going to be one of those players that just pops up when we least expect it. I mean, he's got 1 assist from the opening 3 games, and that was in the last game week against Brentford. Only 5 million, and the fixtures after, you got a couple of decent fixtures: Villa, Forest, Man United, and Wolves. I think he's the sort of player that he's always going to be unfashionable to pick, a little bit like Rice at times. But I think he could surprise a few people. Do you think that's a little bit crazy from me, Mo?
No, I like him. I like the differentials to be a bit more risky, like my one there. So I think that's a good one. I think I mean, you never know. Like you said, Crystal Palace at home. We was looking the other way to target Sunderland, but you flipped it. So that would be
well,
I mean, that must be a super differential. What is he? 0.1 or something?
To be fair, he's actually higher than I thought. 2.7%.
Oh wow!
So I mean, there's probably a few people there going with him as their sort of fifth midfielder,
True.
and that's probably the reason. But yeah,
some
I
Arsenal
think
fans for sure.
yeah, probably. So I think he might be one that we're gonna sort of underestimate, and understandably so from a promoted side point of view. And he's not the most attacking, but I think he might pop up this game week 4. So hopefully that can do it better. I mean, I did have Damsgaard and Grealish last week, and they didn't. Grealish got a return, Damsgaard didn't. So I'm hoping we can have a bit more success this week. So those are our differentials.
Yo, did you know, Roberto, that Crystal Palace are undefeated in their last 14 games in all comps?
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, there's always
it's crazy.
first time for everything. So yeah, interesting. Okay, we've now got after doing that, we have got a couple of things to just tick off. Obviously, the fixtures for the game week 4 head to head, and then we will get into the quiz for this week. See how Mo and Kanji get on with that. So, looking ahead to the fixtures for game week 4's T-Fit League, ones to watch out for. So, this website, I tell you, it is really a pain when you try and navigate it, and you want it to be quick, but it's pretty slow. So I've got a game up against Jep DG. Interesting team name, that one. Chris is up against a team that's called the Losers. No life for life. So I wonder if that's an omen of things to come. Whether it will be a losing result for that team. And we've also got Jack in game week 4. Well, he's on 0 points, so really anything here would be positive. But a lot of interesting matchups in game week 4. Kanji, you're up against Omar Alanabi. After he's an Arsenal fan, so after the 1-0 win against them last time out, he's already got a psychological advantage over you. But he actually finished 194,945 last season in FPL. So he's actually started quite well with 2 green arrows from 3,
Wow.
but yeah, it could be interesting to see. I like his team badge. The team badges are really interesting on the website. He's got Omar in big letters on a football pitch. So we'll see how that one gets on. But yeah, we are going to get onto the quiz now. So the quiz sort of so far this season. I nearly forgot actually. Before we do that, Kanji, if you had to name one differential captain for game week 4 outside of Mo, someone that's not a premium option, who would you take a punt on?
You know what? Like, I'm gonna go with the guy that was in pretty much every single wildcard draft, but I have dropped him now to get NDI, and I'll regret it. And his name is Cody Gakpo. That'd be my differential cap for sure.
I like it. I mean, he's been in great form. It's the prime fixture of the week. I just worry with Isak. We'll be interesting to see how soon Isak does come in. Does that, because you can't drop Ekatike, can you, Mo? On the form he's on, can you just shift him out to the left, Ekatike, and sort of, is that harsh on Gakpo as well?
It really is harsh, but these are problems of big world-class squads. I'm not quite sure how Slot's going to deal with it. There's too many good players in that front line at the moment. It's very, very tricky. He's probably done him a favor. He's had a couple of injuries recently. But yeah, Ekatike has been good, but it looks like he's going to be the understudy. I think he'll play some games on the left. I thought Wirtz would play some games on the left, but it's looking like Slot prefers him through the middle. So it's very interesting. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but yeah, it's very tricky. But Isak, one thing's for certain, 100% he's going to come in and start. Like once he's ready, he's the main guy. There's no role. Some games he might come off a bit early. There will be few games in cup games where he gets a little rest. I don't think he's built to play 90 minutes, 3 games every week. He's not designed like that. So I think he's probably happy Ekitike's there. So I think it works
Do
out.
you
all
think you'll consider him? I mean, he won't have any like set pieces or anything, but he will be like the mouthpiece for Liverpool for sure.
I think it's a weird one at 10.5 or 10.4 now, hasn't he gone down? I thought to myself, no chance for someone that doesn't even have penalties, like you said, or set pieces, that extra bit of jam that we want for something so expensive. But then I flip it and go, he's probably one of the best strikers in the world. He's going to be playing for the best attack. When the fixtures are good, maybe there is something. Maybe there is something there, you know. Hopefully it does materialize, Kanji, that we want him because that means he's doing well. So I hope so.
Exactly, bro.
I hope so.
Yeah. In terms of your pick, Mo, if you had to captain someone that wasn't Mo Salah and that was maybe sort of a bit more cheap in terms of price, who would you like the look of this week?
Let me have a look at the fixtures, who there is. Where would I go? I'm just looking now. Sorry, apologies. I'm just looking quickly now. Is that Brentford? I'd still pick a. Verts won't count, and it's too highly owned. I'd have picked him. We're talking about people getting rid of him. I
No,
think
Well,
but
no one's gonna captain him, so that counts.
Oh, well, then that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I think
counts.
that's a.
We don't
I
do
think
it
this
in
is a.
terms of ownership. We do it in terms of price
Oh, just the people not going him. Well,
and
I
the
think that's a
price.
good
To be
one.
honest, if they're
Yeah.
under 10 million or whatever, they're not premium price. Then we
Well,
allow it.
he's an easy pick because I think Slot probably thinks this is a perfect game to get his confidence up.
Let him
So
cook. Let him cook.
yeah, I think so, Kenji. I think you're going to see maybe a goal and an assist there in this fixture.
Well, this is interesting. I see a lot of people, disrespecting my man Scott Parker and thinking that Liverpool are just going to, waltz to a victory. And they probably will. But I'm going outside of the Liverpool game for my differential captain pick. Instead, I actually think that the game we're overlooking for a big haul is actually Fulham Leeds. I think Fulham Leeds could have a lot of goals in it. Leeds, especially, will know how to score. I think it would have been better if it was at Ellen Road because the atmosphere gets them through and that they need that 12th man sometimes. But yeah, I think this game could well have goals. I'm not still that convinced about Fulham defensively, so I'm going for a Leeds United player. So this is very differential for captaincy. But hear me out. I think this could be the game for a little bit of Mr. Dan James. Now you might remember. You might remember, right, that Dan James used to be at Fulham, and there was, I don't know I think it was a few seasons ago now, there was a fixture that a few people listened to on the Fantasy 606 podcast that Statman Dave recommended Dan James as a Fulham player against Leeds, and he was ineligible for the fixture because at that point he was on loan from Leeds and so couldn't play the game. Well, this time I'm running it back. But he can play this fixture, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, I'm going for him as my differential captain. If that comes off, then just where to
You're
come.
him.
Back to
You're him,
T-Fit.
bro.
Back
If
to
that
T-Fit.
works out, you're him, bro.
Just watch out. Watch out for that. Okay, now we're going to get on to the quiz then. And this is an interesting little quiz. We're going to do a few different rounds. The first one is Liverpool themed. So for buzzers, Mo, what's your buzzer going to be this week? Sort of a noise, a sound, any sort of thing you think to buzz in your answer?
I don't know what I'll say. Hey, that's what I'm going to say.
You're going to go,
right.
hey. Okay,
Yeah,
what about
hey.
you, Kanji?
I'll just say yo.
Yo and hey. Okay. Right, the first round, as I said, got a Liverpool theme to it. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be listing through names of footballers, right? And it's up to you with your buzzer to stop me with your buzzer when you think I read out a player who has played for Liverpool. Okay? And the way this will work is if someone buzzes in and they stopped on a player that hasn't played for Liverpool, then they will be frozen out and they'll lose the point. But if you stop on the buzzer and it is a player that plays for Liverpool, you just carry on. So basically, you don't get the point until someone lands on someone who hasn't played for Liverpool, right? So we'll start off listing the players and buzz in when you think this player has played for Liverpool. Okay. Peter Shilton, Trevor Sinclair, Paul Warhurst, Kieran Dyer, Julian Dix, Sean Dundee, Glenn Hyson, Zach Whitbread, Ronnie Rosenthal.
Hey,
Yes, Mo?
Ronnie Rosenthal. Have I got that wrong?
You have. You got it right. You got it
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So that means we carry on until because basically you only stop when it's incorrect. So yeah, well done, Mo. You passed the test. Okay. Robbie Savage, Dominic Matteo.
Hey,
Yep.
Dominic Matteo.
Dominic Matteo, you've got it back to back. So that's a point
Damn.
for Mo. You know, you were sleeping there, Kanji. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't even know who these guys are, bro. I'll be honest.
Just call yourself a Liverpool fan, I tell you, honestly. Some of the other names that I was going to get to, we had the likes of Fernando Morientes, Christian Poulsen, also other Liverpool players, the likes of Pegai Arfajad, Rigobert Song, and Maurizio Pellegrino as well was another one that I was
would have
going
got
to
all
get
of them.
to. Yeah, I'm sure you would. So 1-0 to Mo to kick things off. Let's see how we get on in the next round. And this is an FPL question now. So buzzers at the ready when you think you know this one. So this player, I'm going to be describing an FPL player, and you've got to try and keep buzzing in. I'm going to give clues, and eventually you're going to try and whittle it down. So this Premier League player, FPL player, he plays in red and white. So think of the teams in red and white on their kit. He is priced below 5 million. He is a defender. He also has 1 goal from the opening 3 games.
Hey,
Yes, Mo?
Ballard.
It is Daniel Ballard. You got it. Well done. Very good. That was rapid.
That was good.
That was very
really
rapid.
good.
So Mo takes a 2-0 lead. Yeah, I don't know were there any other people you were thinking of, Kanji, there, or?
Nah, I was thinking of Diego Dallo, but he got an assist.
Yeah, well, very good, Mo. It's good because he's currently injured, so it makes it all the more impressive. Okay, the next player to work out who I'm describing. Okay, this player has kept 1 clean sheet in the opening 3 weeks. He's 4.5 million. So I'm giving you the exact price this time. He's again another defender. This defender has got 3 bits to his surname. 3 bits to his surname. He kept a clean sheet in 1 of the 3 weeks. He's played the team that I just gave the previous answer from in his first 3. And his next fixture is against Chelsea. I'm seeing some confused faces on this one.
I am.
I don't even know who. They're playing Brentford, but I don't know who it is.
Oh, hey.
Yes,
Van
Mo?
der Berg.
Yes.
Der Berg.
He's got it.
Yeah,
That was a Kevin De Bruyne.
the former Liverpool player, right?
Kevin De Bruyne-esque assist there from Kanji, whipping it into the box, and a little back.
I didn't get it until you said the last clue.
The
Yeah,
Brentford clue gave it to him. Yeah, this is a whitewash so far. So Kanji, you need to bring your A game.
I'm cooked. I'm getting relegated out here, bro.
Right, you're starting as you as you don't mean to go on. Right, so far so bad for Kanji, but still a couple of questions left. Now, so far this season, we've had a few goals for some of the attackers, but I want you to tell me which of these players has scored 2 goals this season. Okay, I'm going to list some players who've scored goals. Which of them have scored 2 goals this season? Okay. Callum Wilson. Eliza Mayenda. Brojan Gruder. Wilson Isidore.
Yeah. That guy.
And Ricardo Calafiori.
Yeah, Isidore, bro.
Wilson Isidore.
I know it's him because one of my friends was like hyping him up in preseason.
That is correct. Well done, Kanji. You've pulled it back to 3-1. There's one more question left, though. So I'm afraid that Mo is...
You can make it more
champion.
respectable.
To make it more respectable, right, we're going back a bit further for this one. So you might know that your big rivals, Liverpool fans, Manchester United, currently have the most Premier League title wins. I know that there's 20 wins, but Premier League titles, it's still Man United with the most, with 13. So I'm going to list through a few seasons of Manchester United's 13 title wins. Can you fill in the gaps? So I'm going to go through, and when you feel like there's a gap there, then buzz in and see if you can fill it in. Okay, 1992-93, 1993-94, 1995-96, 1996-97, 1999-2000.
Hey.
Yes, no.
Did Arsenal win it that year?
Well,
is that what you're trying to say? The gap, they didn't win. Man United didn't win it that year. That's what I meant.
You got to fill in the gap, Mo. So have you buzzed in? Did you buzz in because you thought there was a gap, or
No, I thought you meant I thought sorry, maybe I understood the game wrong. I thought every year just jump in when it's the year they didn't win the league, as they've won so many. Is that how the question was? Maybe I've got it wrong.
Basically, you're jumping in when you think I've missed out a date of Manchester United winning the league.
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
Mo, you gotta be LeBron, bro. I don't have history knowledge. Yeah, I kind of know some of the years, but that one there. Okay, carry on then. Yeah, ignore my jumping in there.
You're not buzzing in, Kanji, yeah? Okay. 2000 to 2001, 2002 to 2003, 2006 to 2007, 2008 to 2009, 2010.
Let me jump in there. So
yeah,
and I'm getting it wrong again. I was going to say they never won the league again that year.
Think about what I'm not saying rather than what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's thrown me completely off. I failed in this one. I failed in this one here. I can't get it.
Kanji,
my brain.
I can't get it, bro. Like, I don't know.
It's too complicated. The question itself is too complicated. You have to do too many things.
Bro, I don't even follow Man United, bro. Honestly, they're not even our rivals, man. We just beat them every time. Like,
all right, so I'm gonna give that as a damp squib. Basically, the answers were 1998 to 99. So I went through and said 1996 to 97, and then skipped straight to 99 to 2000. So the missing gap there was that they won the league in 98-99, and then I also missed a gap in 2007-8. They also won the league. Okay, well, talking of winning the league, there is a record for Liverpool of most matches remaining after winning the Premier League title. So it was in the 2019-20 season. The question is, can you Liverpool fans guess how many matches that was?
7.
Damn.
Mo, is that a guess?
No, I remember because that season under Klopp.
You know what,
Yeah.
Mo, you got that like a calculator. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, we
I am-
destroyed that. I remember. I'll never forget that season. Klopp. We won every game until February. We only drew one. I think we won 26. It's one of the most impressive seasons I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because
And
the
they
year
tried
before
to.
then,
Yeah.
the year before then, we got 97 and came second. Most teams that would crush their soul, they would never be able to recover and mount a Premier League challenge. Klopp being Klopp, that German mentality, he made us come back and just win every game. He knew to beat this City team, we had to win every game. And we just dismantled everyone. And the reason I said the German mentality, because I only remember Bayern Munich losing to Manchester United in the most hideous way ever in that last couple of minutes. Remember Solskjaer scoring in Champions League?
Yeah,
the year
yeah,
after they came back and won it. And the same thing happened when Chelsea beat them. The year after they came back and won it. Something with, like, most people would collapse. You won't ever see them in the Champions League final again. But Klopp is just the year
Bro,
after we came back.
those years were the best, man. That was when we had like Wijnaldum, Henderson.
It's
Right?
one of the best teams I've ever seen, but unfortunately, it doesn't go down as that because Pep's team was just even more disturbing.
Do you think
points-wise.
do you think that team was better than this team that won it this year?
Yeah. That team
Same.
it was an evil team at its peak. It was unplayable, realistically. Like, to be honest,
Yeah.
there's just small, the tiniest of margins went against our way. That cost us Champions League, a league. But yeah, that team was just ridiculous.
Fair play. Well, Mo wraps up the quiz win 4-1 on the night. Very well done, Mo.
Thank you.
You know, you've been a great guest on, and you've got a quiz win to partner with it. So very well done.
Thank you.
No, it's a
You
pleasure.
did well. You did well.
It's where we're going to wrap up the pod this week. It's been a really fun one. Thanks again, Mo, for coming on.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me. Really enjoyed that.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. And Kanji, once again, on great roasting form tonight. So
Kanji was on.
You know, I didn't mean to like be aggressive or rude.
No,
Kanji was on fire. I like that.
Kanji.
Kanji's good.
All the best people. They come with the fire. They don't apologize for being themselves.
I'm honestly, I'm Canadian, bro. I'm just polite. Like, it's how it is.
No,
I
great
hope your
stuff.
wild card pops off, Kanji, as well.
Yeah,
Thanks,
good luck,
bro.
Kanji,
Thanks,
with your
boys.
wild card.
Yo, you know what?
And,
Like, you guys should consider maybe a triple captain. I can't. I wish I could. So.
Oh, so he decided to leave that to the end of the pod. So yeah,
It's a cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger.
Premeditated and yeah, fair play. Okay, just launch that grenade in at the end. Well, yeah, definitely one to consider. You know, if you fancy a triple captain Haaland against Man United, because we know how he's done against Man United in the past. You know, that double hat trick I remember in his first season when Foden scored a hat trick in the same game. So will be interesting to see. But there's definitely some captaincy options outside of the more boring Salah away to Burnley. And if you're not put off by the early kickoff, maybe an Arsenal player against the new manager bounce Forest. But that's our pod this week. Thanks again, Mo, for coming on. And next week, for Game Week 5's preview, we're going to get on the brilliant FPL nightmare, Andrew. So looking forward to that one. But until then, make sure you do lock in those transfers and have a good Game Week 4, everyone. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
See you, everyone.